The first thing I want to mention is that all of this is for educational purposes only. I'm not an expert. I just want to share information. And so I would tell you to do your own research, please, and to talk to people, read reviews, find out for yourself. Don't take anything I say as gospel truth. None of this is a recommendation or medical advice, and please check with your own medical expert. Okay, so having gotten that out of the way, the overview of what I want to talk about today is 4 different areas. One is stuff that you can take or eat to help reduce inflammation. The 2 surgeries on tap are both for the joints, so we'll talk a little bit about joint support. Topical items for pain, and then we'll have a couple what I'm calling special items. We're going to talk about some treatments that you can do, which are really cool. Some devices you can use for anti-pain, and then a whole category called other. And so I'd like to just ask that if you have a question, maybe you can just jot it down and hold it until the end so I can run through this and give you a lot of information and then try to answer any informational questions that you may have. Foods that you can eat to alleviate pain. There are a few out there. This won't be a focus of the talk, but just want to quickly mention curcumin is a spice that's well known for with curcumin being the ingredient in turmeric. So that's a spice that you can put on your food. That's a well-known pain reliever. We'll talk about that a bit today, and well as ginger and also having the proper fish oils. I'll let you do your own research on those, but there are some foods that you can eat that help. I'm going to move on to the supplements, and most of the supplements are turmeric-based. In the herbal world, not being a medical professional, there won't be any pharmaceutical discussion today. You have your own people for that. So this is everything else besides pharmaceuticals. So turmeric is a base for many of the pain relieving formulas that are out there. This is a very good company. So this one is called Turmeric Ginger Joint Ease. I will be sending out a document with links to virtually every product or item that I'm discussing today. So you can easily look those up. So that's a good one right there. Another one is good one that herbal experts really like is called ibuactin, which is kind of like a substitute, so to speak, herbally for ibuprofen. So turmeric and a few other herbs in there. It's getting a lot of good reviews. By the way, my experience with these products that I'm going to mention today is that I have tried many of them. There are some that I haven't tried simply because I haven't really needed them, but I've tried quite a few of them and gotten great benefit. I don't have a chronic pain condition, but everybody gets injuries now and then, and so I have some experience with those. The next one is one that I want to show here that I use. It's called Wobenzin N, and basically, as far as most of the herbal or supplemental remedies go, the main avenue is inflammation reduction. That's what we're aiming for. That's what we're trying to do. And so the Wobenzin M uses a different approach other than turmeric, which is an enzymatic approach, and it's specifically for recovering from inflammation and simultaneously for good joint health. And so it's excellent for recovering from workouts and just being able to handle more physically. It's good for recovery. So that's what happens after surgery. So you can take a look at that if you want to and see if that is something that you might want to check out. Another really good one that I've tried, gotten a lot of benefit from, is a very excellent company called New Chapter. This is one of the top herbal companies out there. It's like super good company, very, very top stuff. This one is called Zyflamend. So this is a combination of turmeric and ginger, a few other very good herbs. I've used this product and gotten good benefit, and you can check it out and see if you like it. Again, it'll be in the links in the document I'll be sending along. Another company I really like is Herb Farm. Really love this company. Very integral company, very good products. And they have a product called Inflamma Response, which again is the same basic idea of inflammation reduction. Basically, when you look at pain, you've got the nerve route, and you've got the inflammation route, and you've got the chemical route. And so some of these products work on both. Nothing I've mentioned so far is directly about nerves, but we'll be talking about that with some of the other stuff that we are getting into outside of the herbs. Okay, so this is the herb here, white willow bark, that the Native Americans used, which is the original basis for aspirin. What we've done as a technological society is taken it and made a concentrate out of it, something very similar to it, and we call that aspirin. And so white willow bark will not be as powerful as aspirin, but it's a substitute. It does work. It's more like of an easing of the pain rather than just like shutting it off, but I found good benefit from that. I want to mention 2 quick slides that are about rebuilding joints. They're not directly about pain. Since joints are kind of on the topic for some people in the EC, I thought I'd mention them. What the body's connective tissues are made out of is collagen. That's what actually it is. It's made out of collagen, and collagen is made from amino acids. And so when you take specific amino acids, your body gets the direct food it needs to make that collagen. So there's 3 kinds of collagen, which is divided into 2 groups. So collagen type 2 is for joints. So you specifically want to get the type 2 if you're going to do something for keeping joints healthy. Now, if you want to work on skin, hair, and nails, you will get collagen type 1 and 3, or sometimes they just have it type 3, because that's the main one. There's actually very little type 1 in our system. And that one you would take separately. So you take like one in the morning and one in the evening. In other words, you wouldn't take type 2 at the same time as type 3, because they would compete and you wouldn't get the benefit. So collagen type 2 is specifically for joints. And I personally have found a lot of benefit from using amino acids for many different things. And so I would recommend looking into collagen type 2 and researching that if you're interested. And then there are quite a few joint support formulas. I didn't bring out a representative one simply because I don't know enough about them. But these are 3 of the main hitters that are in all these different formulas that are for joint pain and joint support and joint health that you'll find in your natural food store in the supplement section. Those are glucosamine, MSM, which is a sulfur-based situation, and chondroitin. So again, I'm not an expert on these. I don't have a lot of background on them. I'm just mentioning this so you can look into it on your own. I just kind of haven't personally been drawn to them, but I know that they are very ubiquitous out there in joint health formulas. Let's move on now to stuff that you can actually apply to the body physically, topical kinds of things. This is one of my favorites. This is a product which is herbal, and it's a liniment, and you rub it on your body. I've gotten great benefit from this. And this is from a Chinese tradition. It's called Dit Da Jiao, which is Chinese word. It's actually called, it's kind of a slang term that they use to name it, called hit wine. So it's used in martial arts. It's a liquid that you would rub on when the pain is there, either in the fascia or the muscles or the joints. It penetrates in and can help a lot with different kinds of aches and pains. I'll send the link along for that one as well, as I will with everything here. Another one that's good for this, I haven't used this one like I have the Dit Da Jiao, but I've heard good things about it, which is an herbal cream to penetrate and reduce inflammation. We're again on the same basic idea of the inflammation reduction. And then a couple of homeopathic formulas. I've gotten benefit from those. As you can see, my Traumeel has been well used. This little thing has lasted me several years just for one of these, because you don't need very much. So either Arnicare or Traumeel are both homeopathic, and if that's something that strikes your fancy, you can check those out. Both really well-known brands. There's also reducing the energetic stress around the injury. Then the system can heal itself. So we're going a little bit more refined here with flower remedies. You can get the Rescue Remedy drops, of course. Most people know about those, but they also make a Rescue Remedy cream that has the flower essences in it, the 6 that Dr. Bach recommended for reducing shock and stress and other types of things to the system. So this is not, I would say, like so much a direct healer as an enabler of healing. That would be my take on this one here. But I like it. I use it. I think it's great and very helpful. Now I want to go on to some what I'm calling special items. And that's because they're a little further out there, but you can check them out if you really want to or need to. First one is an herb called kratom. I have not used this herb myself, but I know people that have and have gotten great benefit from it, both on the emotional side, but also for pain. It is an herb that does target opioid receptors in the brain from Thailand and Malaysia. I'll send along a link to some articles that you can read and read up on this yourself if you want to try ordering some of this and trying some kratom. A lot of people have gotten benefit from it, and I know some of them. Another one is medical cannabis. It's one of the top pain relievers that is out there. 25 states now have some legality of medical cannabis, including the District of Columbia. Very, very powerful for pain. I won't get into the details because I'm not an expert, but check it out. It's a big one. It definitely does work. Okay, I want to talk now about treatments. What are some treatments that you can get? All right, so the first one here is usually used before or to prevent a surgery. It's called prolotherapy, and it's injections. And there are particular injections that create healing, but prolotherapy can be used post-surgery as well for joints. Obviously, this is not systemic for pain. This is a joint healing thing. Some doctors, some MDs are using it post-surgery for recovery and for pain reduction. So you can check that out. I did work with an MD who was a prolotherapy expert and was getting tremendous benefit from that. So check that out if you're interested. The injections are painful, so they are creating some pain at the moment, but then a day or two later, there's great benefit. Most of my experience when I was working with that company, as I said, was pre-surgery or to prevent it. The benefits that I saw people experience were pretty dramatic. All right, here's one that most people aren't quite aware of yet. And I personally tried this, and I think it's fantastic. It's called cryotherapy. So salons nowadays, a lot of them will have localized cryotherapy where they will put something cold, like they'll have this cold air that goes in your face to rebuild collagen, or they'll put cold on different parts of the body, very, very cold, for a couple of minutes only to create a healing response. But the newest thing out of Europe, actually invented in Japan, quite the rage in Europe and now hitting the US, and a lot of sports teams are using it and even putting them in their locker rooms, what they're calling whole body cryotherapy. This tube here is only whole body if you're not counting your head, but you are getting pretty cold in there. So what you do is this unit is connected to a tank in the other room that has nitrogen, pressurized nitrogen inside. That's why you see all the smoke or the steam or vapor. And so you step in here for 3 minutes and you're surrounded up to your bottom of your neck by nitrogen vapor, which is at minus 240 degrees Fahrenheit or minus 140 C, which is incredibly cold. When I'm in there, after about a minute and a half, I am definitely wanting to run right out of that tube. But the longer you can stay in there, the better. And it creates an incredible healing response in the body. It's actually been studied for depression and anxiety and all kinds of different healing after exertion and pain as well. Some people are getting better sleep from it. It's actually a systemic healing that happens to body and mind when you use this. So this is the one. The typical sessions run about $50. It only lasts 3 minutes, or you can buy packages for as little as, in some places, like $20. There's another one where you actually go into a room, and I've tried that one as well. The tube actually felt colder, but the room, go into this ante-room here for 30 seconds, and that's at minus 70 degrees. You're wearing slippers, gloves, you're wearing shorts and a hat. I think you have to wear a mask as well. And so you go into the outer room for 30 seconds, and that gets you kind of acclimated. And then chime sounds. Then you go into this inner room here that has the word cryo air on it. And now this is going now under 200 degrees, like minus 220 or whatever, very, very cold. You're in there for another roughly 2.5 minutes, depending which place that you go to and how they're doing it. So it's basically a room-sized refrigerator, which has been really, really cranked up. You can do this, a couple times a week. You can even do it daily, and it's very rapid type of healing. So I would highly recommend cryotherapy. This shows some athletes here coming out of the room, freezing their butts off. Next thing we're going to talk about is gadgets and devices. So the first one I want to mention is low-level laser therapy, also called infrared light. There's some very expensive devices like this out there. There's also some less expensive ones, which is the one I would recommend to start with if you don't want to spend a lot of money. I have this unit that you're seeing on the screen here. It's called the Light Relief LR150. Just turn this thing on here, and then you see these lights shining, which are actually healing lights. This will go for like 15 minutes, and then you can turn it back on if you want to. And you can also get this supplementary pad, which is a little bit bigger, covers more space. You can wrap that around a joint or whatever. I want to make a caveat with this. This one unit here, specific light relief thing that I'm showing you, I do not recommend ordering it from the company. They have a website. I want you to avoid that company. You can, and instead order it from eBay, because there's issues with the company. It's kind of like great product, but company is a little bit unusual. So I would recommend, if you can, that you just order it off of eBay, because quite a few people selling it on eBay, and it's quite a bit cheaper as well, half price or less. I got these for less than $50. I'll include a link in the show notes that I'm making. Like I said, there's other ones that cost quite a bit. You'll see some lasers out there for $300. Try those out if you want to. I haven't gone that route yet. I'm going to include a link to an article on the web where a guy has listed about 10 different kinds of these that you can check out. What's really funny is that, as you may be aware, if you have closed circuit TV, security camera like outside to show, in the dark what's happening, that camera will have infrared lights that will create that picture for you. And then it takes a picture of that. So you can actually get the infrared light itself that's used for the CCTV, and then just shine that on your body. So it's a very inexpensive way to get a bunch of that healing. Let's go into magnets or magnetic fields. There's something out there called pulse electromagnetic field therapy. If you're interested in this, it's about a $500 device. Those little rings that's showing here are about that big around. You can place this anywhere on the body. It's run by a battery, quite safe. This was developed by a guy named Dr. Dennis specifically for NASA. And so I would recommend that you only get one that has this ICES moniker on it, because that's the one that was developed with all the benefits. There's other people out there which are just pulsing electromagnetic fields without really any knowledge of what they're doing, and they're very sketchy results or could even be dangerous. So this one has been actually studied, was funded by NASA. Dr. Dennis is an actual guru and expert on this. This would be the only one I would recommend for two reasons. One is because it has ICES, and secondly, at under $500, it's quite a bargain, because the other ones are ones that doctor's offices get, and they're in the thousands, many thousands of dollars sometimes. This one is really great for a ton of different things, but pain is one of them. So if this strikes your fancy, you can check that out. Now, if you are looking for much more of a budget solution, then we can be talking now about TENS and EMS. So TENS is transcutaneous electrical nerve stimulation, and EMS is electromuscle stimulation. So one is for the nerves and one is for the muscle. And I'll be sending a link to some devices which will do one or both. You can do either one on your body. EMS is, most people is better known for relieving the pain, but both help for that. And these kind of devices, there's tons of these available for between like $30 and $100. Many of them available for under $50 with some really great reviews. I've used similar devices, and I've found some pretty amazing effects with them. We'll move into the temperature kind of stuff now. So alternating hot and cold can be very effective for pain. There's many different ways to do that. I'll just talk about a couple of them. This person who's in the EC has gotten real benefit from an electric blanket, which has very low EMF. So you can use it without blasting yourself with all the fields that some of us don't want to surround our body with, if you just plug an electric blanket right into the main circuit. So this one has a transformer which brings it way down in voltage, can barely even feel the heat with the blanket, but it kind of oozes into your body. And he said it's the only thing that helped his back out after trying many different other things. I haven't tried this blanket myself, but I wanted to throw it in there since I've gotten a good reference for it. You can get these hot and cold packs that work for different joints, and then you can either heat them up in boiling water or throw them in the freezer. And then if you can get like 2 of them, you can then alternate. So there's great benefit from 1 to 3 cycles of 20 minutes cold, 20 minutes hot, 20 minutes cold, 20 minutes hot. You don't want to do it too much, so you got to find your own kind of rhythm with that kind of contraction that the cold brings. And then the expansion that the heat brings tends to reduce the inflammation, push fluids, lymphatic fluids and blood and so on through the system, and be very helpful. So that's very, very well known out there, but I wanted to include it. Other treatments good for pain is either chiropractic or acupuncture, and I'll let you talk to your own experts on that, but I found huge pain relief from both of those type of practitioners. And then I have a final slide here with other. All of these things are good for pain. I've tried most of them for all kinds of different reasons. I'd like to show you a light and sound device that I use, which is called the David Delight Pro. This one is in the $500 or $600 range, but you can get them as low as $100 or $200. So this is basically a little computerized device here that you plug into it goggles, which I will show you. And these goggles have LEDs in them, which LEDs are inside of here, which will flash in tune with the headphones with the sounds. So you get pulses that are timed with the sounds to put you into different kinds of states. So alpha and theta are well known as healing states, brain waves. So you can use those to entrain yourself very easily into those brain waves. This particular device, you can also have an auxiliary input. You can be putting in any other kind of healing meditation or healing music or other audio that can be playing at the same time as the tones. This one also happens to have a third thing, which is electrical stimulation. This is different than the other electrical I showed you. This one's called CES, cranial electrical stim, which is also good for a lot of different things. But I'm not going to claim it's good for pain, but it helps for a lot of things. So light and sound devices, biofeedback. So some biofeedback things that are helpful for pain. Galvanic skin response is a good one. There's a couple of other ones. I'll send you an article on that. Binaural beats is a good way for entrainment as well. It's just kind of like light and sound without the light part. And then there's a number of different energetic therapies, tapping, EMDR, we're all familiar with both of those. Visualization, prayer, surrender practice, mindfulness. I even left off here direct inquiry. If you're having any kind of emotion or pain, you can ask yourself who's having that. And that's another way to just help see through it. The idea being that many people have shown or believe that 90% or greater of the pain is the grasping and the not wanting it there and the trying to avoid it. That happens so quickly that we don't realize we're doing it. And so that's the suffering that's added on top of the physical sensation. Just like someone had mentioned, several people, about their birthing experiences in our talk. And for some women, it's unbelievably painful. And for some women, they actually have an intense, ecstatic, joyful time, not just after the baby's born and they're in an oxytocin blast, but actually during the birthing time, they've somehow learned, or maybe they're lucky, but they've gotten to this place where it's the same physiological stuff that's happening, but they're actually in an enormous amount of bliss about it. So I'm not going to sit here and go, hey, it's really easy to turn your pain into bliss, but people have done it, and there's many different ways to do it. And I would like to answer any questions that you might have, hear whatever you guys want to say.
Wow, David, that was a lot of stuff to absorb.
David, where's the cryotherapy in our neck of the woods? And did you see my chat question?
Well, there's one in Walnut Creek, and there's one in Pleasanton. Those are both with the tube that goes up to your neck, and I would recommend the one in Pleasanton. I think they're both good. And then I've gone also to Davis up by Sacramento for the one with the room, where you go into the full room. You know, I kind of like them both, but Davis is quite a ways. So you asked about insulated underwear. This is relating to the cryotherapy.
Well, if you know the fingers are protected by gloves, wouldn't other sensitive objects also be protected?
Well, that's why you have the shorts.
Insulated shorts.
Yeah, you can't go in without that.
Good. Yeah, I wouldn't go in without that.
No, they won't let you.
So I wanted to make a comment about chondroitin. For years, I took glucosamine and chondroitin for my arthritis. I wasn't sure that I was getting any benefit, but then when I met my current husband, who's an organic chemist, he said, don't bother with the chondroitin because it's too big a molecule to actually penetrate your bloodstream. So I haven't done any research about it since then, but just, something to note.
And
I've heard lots of pluses and minuses on those three. That's why I just listed them and didn't get into it, because I don't really know. And, I've heard a lot of different people saying this sulfur thing and this other thing, and I don't.
Right.
Just kind of riffing off of Patty, of contributing a little bit of information. I did a bunch of research on the different kinds of collagen and have used them. And so anyone's interested in doing that, go back and review what David said, because it was concise, but it was really on the ball, on the mark. And just to give an idea of how that differentiates out in the body vis-a-vis joints, is the type 2 is going to be working the cartilage part of the equation. And also, if you've got a bone break, we sort of make like a scab with cartilage. And so an old bone break might start hurting you if you don't get enough of that. And so if you start getting sort of an arthritis around an old bone break, I've found that if I get my 2 up, it'll stop hurting and it'll even stick for a while, at least at my age so far. I don't seem to have to do it as often, although I should do it all the time. The other part of your body that benefits from that is your eyes. Your eyeballs and the eye fluid is type 2 collagen. And so if you are looking at cataracts or any kind of surgery around, or even shape of eyes, doing eye exercises, this type of thing, type 2 is going to get you there in that kind of recovery. Now, the type 3 is ligaments and tendons. Like David said, the skin, and also when you take it, you can notice a difference in your skin. So if you've got, things being pulled out of whatever joints, it's like what he said, take 2 and 3 and take them at separate times of the day because you've actually got more than one thing going on. Type 3 is also teeth enamel and the internal dentin of the teeth. So if you're working at any kind of gum infection, and even in bones, I understand type 3 affects bone growth as well. So just to add that information on that. And then the other thing is, thank you so much for the cryo information. I actually read about some of this stuff a few years ago. So I was putting ice in a bathtub and getting into a bathtub and sitting in it for as long as I could in order to get the ATP. And I was going to start doing it again because I started being very temperature sensitive again. And it does seems to increase immune. I can't show a direct relation, but when I was trying to increase my immunity, when I was kind of looking at multiple myeloma issues, that was part of some of the stuff I did. And
Yeah, I
that got
totally
better.
agree. The ice bath and ice cold showers are very good for the entire system. So
My surgeon is actually sending me home with an ice machine that fits my shoulder and keeps making ice for as long as I keep filling it up,
perfect.
which should be good. I wanted to ask if you know anything about, well, let me describe it first. My massage therapist has suggested that as soon as the actual wound has healed, that he start manipulating the area to get the blood flowing, which kind of intuitively makes sense to me. But I was just curious if you knew anything about that.
I don't know directly.
Okay.
One thing I would, this is like a completely non-medical, who knows, David opinion kind of thing I'm going to say next, but I believe that as soon as it's safe, if someone can begin lifting weights, even light ones can help a lot, because that forces but I mean, you'd have to figure out from the professional when that time would be, but it helps them grow stronger, makes the ligaments get stronger to do.
Just riffing off of both of those thoughts and going back to something David was talking about with the cold and the hot, it would be the same sort of a mechanic. All of these things, it's moving, circulation, you know, it's like the contrast between the hot and the cold and lymph and I know that my daughter, when we've had some things happening, she's the one that's at Palmer. In fact, that's where I'm at right now, and she's at school. And she emphasizes that, again, without doing damage, you know, finding that spot. But what you said, your therapist, I mean, your massage therapist, that would fit with the kind of thing she was saying to me about, okay, Mom, you know.
Right.
Yeah, that would just to affirm that.
You know, biofeedback is a huge area where there can be a huge amount of benefit.
Oh, yeah.
And everything else. So there's a lot of research and a lot of people are doing it, both neurofeedback and other, you know, body-based types of things too.
You mentioned you don't want to get into that, but maybe that would be kind of a cool thing to just give it its own time sometimes, since it seems to be a deep and complex subject about how that can relate to overall. That might be fun. I know there are lots of people that know different things about this, maybe pulling together something like this. I would be very interested, especially after my recent experiences at the Transformative Technology Conference.
Yeah, that we talked about it. There was quite a bit of talk about biofeedback there. And in particular, heart rate variability can be very helpful for the entire system. A higher level of heart rate variability is correlated to lower mortality from all causes. It's a pretty beneficial thing because of that. I mean, there's a whole bunch of specific things that it prevents, but it's also all cause. Mortality is quite a bit lower for people that have higher HRV, as it's called. And it's very trainable. You can get much better at it, you know, easily. It's not difficult to do.
Right.
Just do 20 minutes a day. If you don't want to buy a biofeedback device, then inhale through your nose into your stomach for 6 seconds. Time it 5.5 to 6 seconds, and exhale for 5.5 to 6 seconds. And to do 5 or 10 of those breaths several times a day, and you'll be training it anyway, even if you don't buy a machine.
On the topic of mindfulness and pain, I recommended a book quite a bit to clients, Natural Pain Relief by Shinzen Young.
Oh.
It's not very thick. It's inexpensive. It includes 5 guided meditations on CD. And you can, it's available now, republished at soundstrue.com.
Yeah, I mean, some of these on this this last slide that I had up, which I'll put up again, just this slide alone can conquer massive amounts of pain. I mean, there's a huge amount here. Visualization, for instance, it can be incredibly beneficial. There's a standard type of visualization where you visualize some source greater than yourself, whether it be the sun or a deity or an ancestor or whatever, and then you connect to them, and then you receive either a transmission, or you receive light, or you receive a laser, you receive lightning, or you see sounds, or something is beamed to that entity. Can actually be inside you, or you can become it, or it can be outside you, and that can go into the area of pain. So that's kind of visualization using something kind of besides yourself, quote unquote. But you can also visualize the actual sensation with NLP type of things. You can just visualize. If you have a current pain at the moment, you can use the visual sense to tell yourself, okay, so what color, if that pain had a color, what color would it be? And so then the color is green right now. And so that's how your brain is currently representing that pain to you, is by that green color. And then you basically would just gradually change a color of that to something that is not painful. Some people find that to be white or gold, or can actually be a lot of different colors. Typically, pain is more dark and healing is more light, but everybody can differ. Cynthia, go ahead.
I'm sorry, it actually just popped out of my head, so I was going to say I would raise my hand again when, but thank you with that. Oh, yeah, it came back in. Okay, Norman Doidge's book, The Brain That Changes Itself, it's either 1 or 2, discusses a neurologist, I think this guy, I think he's MD, and dealing with pain. And one of the things he worked with was the pain. So after the source of pain has left, we still have this pain signature in our brain, so that we are feeling pain even when the source is left and there's no threat to the body that the pain is, giving us information about. And so there are therapies that have been developed where one lady was looking at pictures of a brain that did not feel pain, brain that felt pain and a brain that didn't feel pain. And by looking at it, she was they were somehow able to test her brain patterns, and she shifted them, and her feeling of pain shifted. So I just wanted to throw that one out there. I don't know which book it's in, but it's Norman Doidge's work.
Yeah, you can use the Taoist approach of the inner smile and simply meditate and smile into the pain. And that can erase a lot of pain. I mean, some of the most powerful stuff is ridiculously simple. Can be described in like 5 or 10 words, and if you just do it, it's not, it's a little bit more difficult than taking a pill, but many times there's no negative side effects. So yeah. A lot of the pharmaceuticals will tend to have often, unwanted side effects, but the more natural approaches do not normally have those. Or they have beneficial side effects, but usually not unwanted ones. But they do require your time and attention, openness to it, and doing it.
Mm-hmm. You have to show up.
Right.
I have a question about pain that we have where the experience is that you have a great deal of pain. You may not realize it. You do know you're uncomfortable. Sometimes it may show up because you take a medicine or something and it goes away during a therapy or something, and then you go, oh my gosh, I've been in incredible pain and I didn't realize it for so long. Or so my question, I guess locating it would be part of it, but that's not, I guess we're talking about systemic pain that is so large, it may even go back to the body you may have a neurological imprint of something.
Well, I liked what you said earlier about the pain that continues after the stimulus is gone. It almost would sound like your brain has gotten into a pain habit, so to speak, and it's just doing that. Brains tend to get into loops and just do things over and over again until they get, that's one good thing about a neurofeedback, is it tells the brain, hey, you're doing this. And the brain goes, oh, okay, I can stop. I've been doing this for like 46 years now. And it can stop and actually in like 3 seconds, but it's been doing it for like years and years. But to to get more specific, what you were saying, Cynthia, the idea is that you're having massive pain but don't know it.
I know that sounds odd, but I actually had that experience.
I wouldn't know how to help you on that one.
As soon as you get the perception, though, basically, then you would be able to use one of those tools.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't matter if you've just got even this little thing and you just realize, well, then as it diminishes, you just enjoy whatever happens because it's better. So I guess you wouldn't really have to, you'd only need a very small perception to get the ball rolling.
You can also do breathing into the pain too. Inhale healing light or love or whatever you like.
Okay.
Inhale positive
Absolutely.
juju or whatever into where the pain is, and then exhale darkness, or exhale sickness, or exhale other types of light, or exhale the feeling. How you characterize it is up to you, but pretty simple of you just inhale the desired or the good and exhale some representation of what is not wanted.
So
You were talking about the imagining a color associated with pain. There's something called the light stream technique, which Francine Shapiro created, and of course her background is in NLP. But if you Google light stream technique, it's a wonderful visualization technique where the healing light is coming through you, and you imagine the pain, psychic pain, or any kind of pain. What color is it? What texture is it? How big is it? Is it cold? Is it hot? And you just imagine this light pouring in infinitely and swirling around this thing and shrinking it and making it go away. It's great. It's a great technique.
thank you so much.
You can receive a blessing that heals it. You can use these removal techniques we talked about, or you can use a transformational technique.
Right.
The first one I mentioned. So if you got that, it's hot and it's this size and it's the shape of a cube and it's bright red and 7 other different submodalities, and then you could start fiddling with those and see which ones are what's called the drivers.
Right.
Typically it's 1 to 3 that are the key ones. So you can kind of like turn those down or change those. So you can change it, say, red to, light, maybe cream colored is very good for you, or whatever, whatever color your brain associates with feels great.
This is really, really, really useful. Thank you. And
Very
repeat
useful.
the smile, the Buddhist, the smile,
Taoist.
that ancient Taoist. Thank you.
Right.
Would you please repeat that again for me?
Okay, so Montauk Chia popularized something called the inner smile, which is kind of his Nobel Prize value that he's given to humanity, basically. I mean, he didn't invent it, but he really exposed it to millions of people. It's really the foundation of the entire method that he's promulgated of Taoist Qigong and yoga. So basically, there's a few different ways to do it, but the essential way is that you close your eyes and you put a smile on your face. Doesn't matter how big. You can be faking it if you don't feel like smiling. The physiological thing does the trick. And then you actually look into your mouth. You look into where your smile is. With your eyes, you look into it. And you just keep looking at that until your whole awareness is in that smile. Okay? And so once you feel yourself in that smile, then you can then your eyes and your smile are linked. Okay? So then you will actually look/smile, say if the shoulder is the issue, into that shoulder. I'm just using that as an example of where the pain might be. And you will actually smile into that place. Okay, you can visualize a smile being there. You can actually feel the smile going down your neck to your arm. You can see the smile being beamed. However you want to get the smile there, doesn't matter. But you just smile to it, or you smile inside of it, and you try to actually crawl into that space. You put your awareness like in there, smiling. And so the body has, our endogenous endorphins are incredibly powerful. So it's really just a matter of learning how to turn them on. And they take away the pain, they really do. So
Thank you. That was, thank you. Well, you know what? I'm going to be adding to my practice now.
Thank you,
anyone
David.
else?
Thank you,
That
David.
was very, very helpful, the way you explained the inner smile. It was the most concise explanation I've heard so far. And you may have mentioned it, I'm not sure, because I'm packing while I'm listening, having to get away shortly. There is also Milton Erickson's hypnotic pain control approach, which he used pretty much all his life, and which his daughter and her husband have popularized on some audio tapes and probably CDs and MP3s by now, of hypnotic pain control, if you like, because Milton Erickson had polio all his life from childhood, so he was in constant pain, and he was known to permanently control his pain using self-hypnosis or trance. So,
Yeah, thank you.
Mm.
I never met Milton Erickson, but I met people that study with him, and I consider him one of my gurus that I haven't met. He was an absolute monster of human transformation and freedom, and you can't really say enough good stuff about what he offered to humanity.
Wow.
So I didn't know about this system, hypnotic pain control. I really appreciate you bringing that up. The mind can make our world into a heaven or a hell. The pain that is happening is only happening in the brain. There's nothing happening in a localized thing. There's just a signal coming, and it's being interpreted as pain, and so we can change it. You know, I mean, go ahead, Wolf.
Sorry. There is another approach that came to mind that I used some years ago, which comes out of a whole school of mind training called Silver Mind Control.
Oh, yeah.
Which was developed by Jose da Silva, a Mexican-American. And they also have very functional...
He's frozen?
No,
What?
He's good.
They also have a very functional way of controlling brain using, I guess, Silver Mind Control is a version of autogenic training.
Mm-hmm.
I would call it, even though they don't say that, but that's would be my take on them. And so it's, again, a non-medical way. It's a purely mind-based, non-physical way of approaching pain control that is also quite effective.
Yeah, so what the yogis have been saying in the last, basically 30 years has been, now Western scientists are saying, oh yeah, that's true. For example, the dogma that was thrown out there was that once you became an adult, there were no more positive changes possible to your brain. That was it. You could only go negatively, brain cells would die, but no new ones would grow, and no positive changes would take place, which is absolutely ludicrous now. And there's neuroplasticity is the big thing, like your brain does change. And then it was thought that your genes were fixed and that they don't change, and it's just, you're just stuck with them. But the newest thing is, so it's not actually how you act, it's which genes are expressed and which ones are being turned on, which basically means it's how you use your genes makes all the difference. And there's a whole lot of these other errors that have fallen recently in the last decade or two about what's possible with ourselves. And it's a huge amount of that's possible.
Right. Thank you, David. Fantastic.
You're welcome. Thank you.